The United States of America. Unity and oneness is what we're made of. One nation under God, it's plain to see. We're showing the whole world what a country should be. United we stand in America, hand in hand in America. Together as one in a land that we love. United we stand in America.
Good morning, everyone out there. Welcome to Changing Times. It is Wednesday, April the 24th. We are live at the Axe Media Group headquarters in Springfield, Missouri, and this is show number 156. That is 3 years.
3 years. Congratulations.
I tell you what, God blessing. I'm telling you, we never knew when we started this show how long we'd be, and I think we're going to go stronger and stronger. I am Lynn Morris.
And I'm Dr. Mary Byrne.
You are. And I tell you what, this show, you heard some new music. So after 3 years, we have changed our music to start off with. That song was written and sung by Stephen Paul McCollum. He is a country Western music singer and also Christian singer and also patriotic singer. And so you're going to get to know him as our shows continue. We're going to have him live next week. We'll have him on for all 45 minutes, and we're going to learn about him. And he's getting ready to do revivals around the country and patriotic Christian revivals. And we want to be part of that. We want you to be part of that too. So we welcome you today everywhere that you're watching. We know always have people from almost every state and around the country and around the world. And so we really appreciate that. But our guest today is two really good people. I'm going to let Mary introduce them, and we're going to be discussing TeenPact. That's TEENPACT. And it's a really great organization, and they do great things. And we want you all, if you don't have this in your state, you can start it. You can start it. If you teach homeschooling to your kids, you can teach it. Even if you go to a public school, you can get involved. This should be in all 50 states. And so we want to bring this project today to you where you know what's going on. This has been going on quite a while in Missouri.
It has, and Angelique will tell us more. I met Angelique and Aiden because TeenPact asked me to be a speaker to the most recent TeenPact conference in Jefferson City, our state capital. Mm-hmm. Because they were on site educating the students about governance and government and familiarizing the kids at a young age, because it starts with middle schoolers, I believe, to be comfortable engaging with government and influencing government. And so I was excited to be their speaker, and I wanted to invite Angelique on the show so that she could get an opportunity to tell the world about what it is TeenPact does and how she got involved. So welcome, Angelique and Aiden. And Aiden is an ambassador for TeenPact. I'm not sure. Aiden is your oldest son, is that right?
Yes.
Yes. And so I don't know if you had a choice on becoming an ambassador or not.
Well, he's a freshman. He's a freshman. I found out that he's a freshman, just completed his first year.
But his mother is so involved and so committed. You know, it's a family thing now, and I think that's wonderful. So, Angelique, tell us how you got involved with TeenPact and a little bit about TeenPact history.
So TeenPact has been around 30 years, and it actually is in all 50 states now. And we actually have, we've grown so much. We have 3 sessions, Missouri 1, Missouri 2, and Missouri 3. So Aiden and I were in Jefferson City for Missouri 1 in February. And Dr. Byrne, you just spoke at Missouri 3 for us, which we really appreciated that. You were a big hit. Team Pact, when we were looking into homeschooling originally, when Aiden was only 4 years old, I was going to the homeschool conventions and investigating. I'm a former public school teacher, and looking at different programs. And when I started investigating the classical method of education, the lady that was explaining all of this to me mentioned she didn't mention Team Pact. What she said was, when the kids get to middle school and high school, they go to Jefferson City for a week and practice writing legislation. And my family has always been tried to be engaged in the political process. And so I was like, this is it. This is what we need to be involved in. So I didn't even know what it was at the time, but it was kind of the decision-making piece for our family of why we needed to go this particular route with homeschooling. So a lot of the kiddos from the homeschool community we're involved with have been going to Team Pact for years. So when Aiden became old enough to attend his first year in middle school, a lot of his friends also went. I think the first year I'll let him tell you about his experiences, but the first year was a little scary, a little tough. He just finished his 3rd year, and I asked him to be with us today because he is one of the best spokesmen for Team Pact that you can get. I am in it's an all volunteer organization at the state level. I'm involved as the Capital Contacts coordinator, so I help find the speakers to come over and talk to the kids. I was our very first year there. I was standing in the lobby, and the state coordinator came over and was chit-chatting with us. And I was in the midst of going back and forth to the Capitol working on some legislation anyway. And she asked if I was going to lunch. And I said, no, I have to go testify in a hearing. And she said, what in the world? And my friend said, hey, if you need any help over at the Capitol, you should talk to Angelique. And she said, actually, I do need you. So I unwittingly became involved, and it's been a really wonderful experience. We have a whole team at the state level. Different people take care of setting up different aspects for the week. The kids go for 4 days with the option of staying for a 1-day class on Friday. So they go Monday through Thursday through the regular 4-day state program. And then there's more they can do if they want to stay extra. And then there's more events they can go on later after that.
Do you book a hotel for everyone to stay in so that there's some extracurricular socializing there, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we start about lunchtime on Monday, and there is blocks of hotel rooms, so we get a little bit of a discounted rate that the families can go and stay. And sometimes there will be one mom that chaperones and takes a whole group of kids, and they'll stay, that lowers the cost a bit, and they'll stay in a room together for the week. And during the day, they're in class learning all kinds of things about government, especially our national constitution, and then they stick in some state government stuff. Then in the evening, we go to a local church and we have dinner, play games, basketball, football.
Ultimate Frisbee,
that's a big Team Pact.
Kill-ball.
Yeah, that's a big Team Pact event. Then we have a service that evening, and sometimes we have a missionary come in and speak, or there's a gentleman that runs the week that will come in and speak, give a sermon. We'll have some worship time. The students, this is a student-led program, so the students lead worship. And then they finish up the evening with some breakout sessions that they call rendezvous, where they go into small groups of guys or small groups of gals and discuss the sermon and the event. Then we go back to the hotel for what we call coffee hour. We don't really feed the kids coffee.
Recommend no coffee at that time.
Not at that hour.
But we keep them busy until about 11 o'clock at night, and then they go to their rooms, get a few hours of sleep, and we start over the next next morning bright and early and continue the process through Thursday. And we have graduation Thursday afternoon. For those who are staying for the Friday one-day class, we go back to the church again and have the similar setup with worship and a sermon and the breakout times. And then everybody goes home Friday afternoon after a very full week.
That's a busy schedule.
That is, but I get it. You have to keep them constructively occupied.
Hey, Aiden, I heard something that your mom said. So, as a state rep, now that you've got some training on writing legislation, if I was still up there, I'd have you help me write a bill.
Well, you can find your own state rep and ask them to.
Yeah, you find your own state rep
bill.
and do that, and ask if you can kind of see how that one bill that you're interested in, see if you can just follow it all the way through and help them out a little bit. Most of the legislators don't write their own bills. They come up with ideas, they research from other states and then from their constituents, their citizens in their own district, what is important to them, and then you give it to a professional bill writer. Many times they're attorneys because they have to make sure that it fits Missouri law, or we adapt it to our statutes and things like that. But and you get to proofread it and tweak it a little bit. But so someone like you would be involved and that would really be a good thing.
An excellent group activity, I think. Yeah. To analyze existing statute, find out, how that statute might have become obsolete and needs updating, and then you can do that. But tell us about being an ambassador, a TeamPAC ambassador. When did you become one, and what are the responsibilities, Aiden?
Well, this is kind of a relatively new thing for me I've been doing lately, but it's pretty much just kind of going around and speaking different places. Like 3-4 weeks ago, I took a group of other TeamPAC's alumni students with me, and we went and spoke at our community's assembly in the morning, homeschool community's assembly. And it was a 10-ish minute presentation that we just kind of covered parts of TeamPAC. That's pretty much all it is just going places like here in front of a community and just kind of getting them to know TeamPAC and trying to get them to come join us.
So you're a PR ambassador. You actually publicize the organization. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Did you take? I used to homeschool my daughter through the middle school years, and had them participate in speech and debate, and I actually taught policy debate for a couple of years, so that she would be comfortable not just with public speaking, but with making a cogent argument. I had a niece who said, "Well, I said, Katie, you need to argue with a point." And she said, "Well, I know how to argue without a point." And I'm like, "Well, no, we have to change that." And that came through a homeschool speech and debate organization. So do you participate in anything like that, or does TeamPAC provide those opportunities?
I'd say in a way TeamPAC does provide those kind of through our mock legislature where we're debating bills the kids write.
Yes.
But I actually do participate on a speech and debate team that's involved with NSDA, the National Speech and Debate Association. The team name is CCA. It's a homeschool team. We've got people in most of the events. We've got people, a team going to nationals this year in team policy. One person going to nationals in Lincoln Douglas, extemp. We got people all over the spectrum. I do U.S. extemporaneous, original oratory, and public forum debate with a sprinkle of congressional debate in there whenever I get the chance. So yeah, the debate definitely kind of fits in there with TeamPAC quite well. But TeamPAC is not exactly.
Yeah, your mom can tell you that the hearings, the authentic hearings that go on at the Capitol, are just like the policy debate hearings. So It's excellent preparation. And so what are your thoughts about what you learn at Team Pack during that week?
Well, I mean, you learn a lot. Like, for me, it wasn't as much of a stark realization because obviously my mom's been in this for years before I ever went. But I know I have seen from others just like realizing how the government actually functions and getting to interact with those there and practicing doing things in the way they would. It kind of just like changes the perspective on things. Because I know there's a lot of people who kind of like, well, this, and then they just kind of do that. Or then they'll write bills that they think are helpful, but then when they actually engage in discussion, they might realize, well, there's a lot of facets they didn't realize. Or then they realize how slow the system actually is. And so I think that's something a lot of people learn. It's mainly just changing the perspective when it comes to how the government functions. And then when it comes to like the Constitution and writing a bill, it gets like Constitution 101 kind of will kind of make you actually like realize how difficult it is to interpret our Constitution sometimes. Like there's so many facets that go into it. Because like our Constitution 101 activities, pretty much you're split up into groups. You're given the situation that went through the Supreme Court, and you have to judge how the Supreme Court would have judged the situation based on the Constitution. And there was one we did where this guy had property right on the border, and a border security guard walked across his property. The guy tried to get him for trespassing, but he's also walking across the border doing his job. So it's like, there's a lot of facets we had to discuss with that. So that's good. So it's, mostly just helping you understand the facets of it.
Hey, Aiden, let me ask you a question. So when you were up there, and you were up there a few days, did you see the Senate filibuster? Were they actually working, or did you actually see a filibuster when you were up there?
I did not personally go watch a filibuster. The program does not currently have a function for you to go watch a Senate or House meeting. But, I've gone up there. I've taken friends up there after class, between the morning day class and the evening session. And to go, I've watched the floor. A couple weeks ago for Mo2, we had a group in there who saw Mike Moon filibustering, which was an interesting experience for them.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because you're a freshman. You just completed your freshman year. And as a state rep one year, I had a young lady from Ozark, Missouri. She was a freshman, and her grandmother took her up. She wanted to be a lawyer, a politician someday. She'd already figured that out as a freshman, and she wanted her grandmother to take her up to Jefferson City. And unannounced, she came in my office that morning, and we were going to gavel in at 10 on the floor, House floor, and the Senate was going in at 9. And so I had my administrative assistant take her over to the Senate side, and about 20 minutes they came back, and I said, "Why are you back?" And she goes, "They were filibustering." and I said, "Oh, filibustering." I said, "What is that?" And she said, "Grandma said it was goofing off." So unfortunately, we have a lot of goofing off up there sometimes, and usually on the Senate side. Mary knows that too.
Oh, well, that's what they say is the Senate is the place bills go to die. But Lynn made a very good point in our discussion before the show. It's hard to pass good bills. You learn the process of how to pass a bill, but it's very difficult to do that. And sometimes your most productive session is stopping bad bills.
That's right.
So you have to first do a review of what's being offered as a bill and keep your eye on it. And I mean, it's very intensive getting a bill watching team to find out how a bill is progressing through either house, the Senate, or the House of Representatives. And one of the best strategies, if you want a bill passed, is to get identical bills carried in both houses to see which one flies. Because eventually it will get over to the other house if it passes the first house at all. And so it's a I hate to call it a game of chess, but it is. You have to
That's
understand
exactly what it
steps and strategy, and but first be informed about what is being filed. Um, and unfortunately, I guess the good news is for grassroots activists, you outnumber the lobbyists. The bad news is unless there's, and so you can kill a bill with numbers. But there's a behind the scenes process of going to fundraising activities or appearances where your state legislator, either the senator or the rep, is appearing, and buttonholing them and saying, "Look, you're going to see me at the hearing, and this is my position on the bill." Because if you remain invisible, you're not a concern. I don't want to use the word threat, but you're not a concern. But the more visible you are, it's like what Thomas Jefferson said. If you have people in fear of the government, it's tyranny. If you have the government in fear of people, it's liberty. You have to be visible to um, to avoid tyranny and ensure liberty. And that's what public schools were supposed to be teaching. Unfortunately, the focus has been shifted to workforce development rather than preparing people to engage in government. And that's why I'm so excited about this program, Teen Pack, because you are doing the right thing.
Yeah. Hey, and
Well, we'd
Aiden,
love
one of the things.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Angelique.
There's more to Teen Pack than just the state class. We'd love to also tell you a little bit about the alumni events. Do you want to talk about
Okay.
that?
If he had a question, he can go ahead and do that. We can cover those
No,
in a
go
minute.
ahead, and I'll make a comment after a while.
The alumni event.
Well, so the alumni events are pretty much, so once you go to the state class once, you're now an alumni student, which not only makes it so when you come back, you do, a slightly different activity, focusing a bit more on discussion, but you're opened up to, more than like 10 different events around the country, all focusing on different parts of government or relationship or religion, Christianity, whatever. They all cover different things. It's like you've got stuff like National Convention, which is mostly focusing on election stuff, and then it's pretty much just a big Bible camp. You've got something like Congress, which is pretty much a mock legislature, but instead of doing it for like 30 minutes at a time, 3 or so times a day, you do it for a full week with more facets, like a House, a Senate, lobbyists, all that sort of stuff.
Media.
Is that an annual event, a national conference?
It is.
Yeah.
Is that
And the NatCon, the National Convention, is in the summer, I believe, in Tennessee.
Yes.
Congress is in August in Florida. Then there is also judicial, where the students learn all about the judicial process. They actually argue cases. I can't remember off the top of my head where or when that is. And then there's media, which is the students form teams and they do investigative reporting and present. There is an aspect of that, like Aiden mentioned, at Congress, which is in Florida. They actually go to the Florida Capitol. They stay at a camp, a church camp, and then get bussed into the Capitol every day and work there. You can, if you go to Congress, you can be a representative, you can be a senator, you can be a lobbyist, or you can be a media person. So the students who are being representatives or senators are also having to go to press conferences. And the kids who are participating in the media track, they're doing their investigative journalism. They're asking the hard questions at these press conferences. So it's really an incredible program. Then there are two venture and
Venture and Endeavor, which these are going to be more of your traditional like Bible camp style events. Venture is only for boys and Endeavor is only for girls, but it's pretty much an outdoor camp thing where it's, you're going over life skills like how to fix a car or, how to prepare a meal and all that sort of stuff. And then just kind of growing as a brotherhood or sisterhood in Christ with, all these other like-minded people who are at this event together. I mean, obviously, like for the girls, you got like how to, set a table, all these things like that, and guys, you got to mud run. so
That's good. That's good.
So
With students,
as you progress in your education in Team Pack, you become a mentor to the younger children. Is that how that works?
Yeah, in a sense, and that really comes out either by becoming a staffer or even just by being a second, third time student in the evening sessions. Because like if you become a staffer, so any student, once they've gone through at least one state class, can apply to be a staffer. I've applied to hopefully staff this next year, which pretty much you've got your staff team who runs the class for the week. And that's kind of how you can mainly jump into that leadership role, is by, helping be there, being somebody there to help them get through the week. But even just as students, second, third time students, they know what's coming and kind of like help people get through it. Like, hey, this is coming, or here, let me help you with this. Or when we're in Team Pact legislature, they're like, how on earth do I move the question? You can help with that. Or I want to make an amendment. How do I do that? You can help with that. Or even with elections, it gets fun because they're kind of like leading the way with, fun campaigns. Like I had a friend who was running for governor at Team Pact this last year. He brought a very large box of candy. It kind of like, it brings people together, like taking the first step, just kind of being out there. So yeah, students definitely help lead the newer students.
And the staffers, they're all teens themselves. They'll go around, especially with the younger students or the first-time students who maybe are a little shy, and ensure the process. And while they're doing the Team Pact legislature, they'll be there beside them, like helping guide them. Okay, stand up now, raise your hand. Or maybe if they don't even have a question, they'll say, here's something you could ask, just to help them have the courage to stand up and participate in the process. So I know even with Aiden, I've seen such a tremendous growth in his self-confidence and his ability to speak to folks that he doesn't know. From the very first year he participated, you didn't speak much at all in Teen Pact.
Yeah.
And this year he ran for office and was out there speaking against bad bills every opportunity he had. So it's a fantastic program for leadership skills as well, and then learning about the government.
Yeah.
So Aiden, tell us about your perception of yourself from that first year and now. How do you see that growth process? What was it like your first year, and why did you come back?
Well, yeah, it's kind of an interesting story because my first year, I did not want to go because it was all public speaking. And I can tell you that's the last thing I wanted to do 3 years ago. Also, it's like 100 kids I didn't know because for years I just stuck with my group, my class. It's a very close, very tight class. We're a very close group of friends, and we didn't really branch out very far from that. I stuck together, and then knowing like I'm going to be with 100 people I don't know, and I'm not guaranteed to be with the people I do know at any point during the day, terrified me. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to speak. I didn't want to be without my group. No, she made me go. I went.
What's a mother? Yeah.
Hey, you know what, Aiden? I want to tell you this right now. Mary and I, this is a show that the reason why you guys are on this show and your mom, Angelique. So you guys are difference makers. Aiden, I want you to know that you are a young difference maker. This show looks for difference makers. And Don Blackard, my original co-host, she always would say, being the change. And when you're being a difference maker and being the change, you are a very important person in this world today. And so that's the reason why you're there. And your mom was very smart to get you involved early on in life. And you're going to have a tremendous future just because of your background and how you started. Kind of the same way that I was in Scouts and became an Eagle Scout. Those are those things that continues to help me today, help me get jobs. When you put Eagle Scout on the resume, you put Team Pack on a resume, and you'll go someplace. We're going to have to take a break. You guys just take a little rest here for just about 4 or 5 minutes. We're going to talk about 2 sponsors, and then we're going to be right back in the second half of the show. So we do have 2 great sponsors that help make this show. And someday, and we do have new speakers, and we're wanting guys to have enough money raised that we can actually do live talk shows. That's what I did for 7.5 years. I had a talk show, political talk show, and it's really nice to have people call in and interact. And that's what we'd like to have someday. But right now, we have Brad Pistow. He is a certified fiduciary financial planner located right in Ozark, Missouri. His phone number is 417 581 9292. 581 9222. You call that number. You don't have to be in Missouri. You can be in any of the 50 states. He's licensed in several states, but he has associates in all 50 states. If you're thinking about retirement planning, it's never too early to think about it. Look at the inflation. Look at what's going on in this world. You need to make sure, and he always has plans that you'll never run out of money before you run out of your life. And so I use him. Don Blackard used him. A lot of my family members, a lot of people I know in the communities around Greene County, Christian County, all around the state, even in Arkansas, uses Brad Pistow. And he has 2 books. Safe Money Matters was a #1 best-selling book on Amazon on retirement planning. And he came out last year in December with a book called Bulletproof. And either one of those 2 books are tremendous books. He'll send those to you free. You call up that number, 417-581-9222, and they'll send you a packet and help you get started on retirement planning. And he's in our show a couple times a year. He'll come and share great information for our listeners. The second sponsor is John Whittaker. It used to be Youngblood Motor Company in Springfield, Missouri. Now it's Springfield Nissan, Springfield Kia. They're located on 3525 South Campbell in Springfield, Missouri. And on one side, they have all new cars. On the other side of South Campbell, across the street, they have used cars. Most of those used cars are certified used cars. That's the way to, if you can afford to pay a little bit more, it's always better to buy a certified car that's gone through a 110-point inspection that those guys do. So they are great people. But they are. My last 2 cars have come from them. I have sponsors that I use because I'm not going to tell somebody that somebody's a good business if they're not. They've been business over 45 years, probably one of the oldest family-owned car companies in the Springfield, Southwest Missouri area. So I highly recommend those guys. John will be on there too. He always has interesting things on our show to tell us about what people need to know when they're buying a car. So anyway, we're ready to start again.
Well, thank the sponsors. So Aiden, thank you for your honest assessment of your first year. Now that you're over the hurdle, do you recommend Team Pack?
Oh, absolutely. Because being that there's everybody there is so supportive. Everyone from the staffers to other first years to the leads. And that hurdle, I'm not the only one who's gotten over it there. They will get you to go over it, whether you like it or not. It's not you, and that's a hurdle everybody needs to get over to be able to go out and talk to people. Because if you can't talk to people, then that's kind of what leads to people being able to control what everybody does. If nobody's going to talk,
it's really a safe environment to learn those skills. And everybody has to grow through the fear process. But when I was up there, I was so impressed by what was obviously a supportive environment. And quite frankly, when you do get to be an adult, you remember what it was like to be a novice and, brand new coming into these situations. You remember that fear, and you do try to support people through it, because that's part of the community. That's part of what we do, is to help people develop into the whole person God wants you to be, and that does not mean living in fear. Yeah. So
Hey, Aiden, what do you think you want to do after you get out of high school? You've got such a great foundation that you're going to complete after being homeschooled for 4 years and being involved in Teen Pack. What do you want to do to make a difference in your life and other people's lives? Because I noticed that one of the things that maybe one of the slogans, or I'm not sure if that's a slogan or what, but making lives better around the world, it looks like one of the things I kind of looked up on what Team Pack was all about. So what do you plan on doing?
Well, I'm not exactly nailed down on one thing yet, which I probably should be at this point. But
no.
Well, you don't have to. No, you're still young. You can
No.
just keep exploring.
Yes, yes. But what feels good at
yeah,
this time? Like a natural
yeah,
fit
it
for
could
you.
really, yeah, it could really be anything from politics. A lot, I've considered a lot of that. It could,
Mhm.
working policies don't even have to be in a representative seat. Just I can even be behind the scenes working that stuff. Um, I have considered law, but that's a lot of years of college and expensive. I
Yeah,
don't exactly have a bank account to stand that personally. Um,
yeah.
and I've also considered tech stuff just because that's going to be a bigger industry. But
See, I went
that's
into speech pathology as a freshman. I ended up in deaf education as a master's. It was never on my radar to be a grassroots activist. It was never on my radar. And but when so you do develop through life and answer the call at those various stages. But what I found is everything you've done previously prepares you for where God is going to take you. So yeah, there's no need to have definitive plans at this point. God's got them.
Yeah, you know what? I found that phrase, changing lives to change the world.
Yeah.
That's what you guys are learning to do, and so you can do a myriad of things. I mean, you'll figure out through God, you're going to and your family, you're going to figure out what you're going to do that will make an impact for you, your family, and the rest of the people in this world. I think you'll do really well. So.
Sure. Well, what would be, Angelique, your uh, advice to parents who are not yet involved in Team Pack, as far as how the community of parents has supported each other in raising children?
Oh, I would definitely say if you're not involved in Teen Pack, please go to the website and take a look, teenpack.com. It really, they over 30 years, they've really fine-tuned the process. And they're a brand new CEO, Mr. Chris May, just took over in January. And he's looking to make it even better. We got to meet Mr. May at Missouri 1, and I got to sit down over lunch with him for a couple of lunch sessions. And wonderful, approachable man, was playing ultimate frisbee with the kids, which I know was a big hit.
yeah.
The heart behind the whole organization is fantastic. It is such a supportive environment, as I know you've mentioned. So the first time sending your kiddo to Jefferson City or whatever your state capital is for the week can be a little unnerving. I absolutely go every time, but I love to be there. And a lot of moms do go and they'll sit in the back and watch the whole process. It's incredible. But if it's just not something that you can make work for you to be there, the state team can help set you up with a chaperone so that your student can go and be with other teens if they have the courage to go, even if they don't have a friend group that's going. But absolutely reach out, check out the website, get in touch with your state coordinating team, and start asking some questions. And if it's something then that you go and you're interested in and you want to help further this mission, all the state coordinating teams need help. Everything from writing thank you cards to and bringing it within walking distance of the Capitol. Not all
Hear me, Angelique? Can you hear me?
Church. Yes. Did we lose audio?
Yeah, for some reason we were losing your audio, but I think we're okay now. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was
go
the
ahead,
last thing you
and I
heard me
think we
say?
lost.
Walking to the Capitol,
Yeah.
but it was a bit broken up. So
Can you hear us now,
you
or-
talked about getting connected to the coordinating team, and they would place if you couldn't come as a parent, the coordinating team would place your child with a group.
Yes. So
And-
your student can
okay.
still go and participate. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And so how is there a tuition involved for Team Pack?
Yes. I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say, are you going to look it up?
I can look it up.
Okay. So the tuition for the week is fairly reasonable. I want to say around $300. The once you've been once, the alumni tuition is less. They do need to dress professionally. We ask our students and the parents who are going over to the Capitol to dress professionally. So everybody needs to have a jacket. You can wear certainly dress pants, but if the ladies, if they're wearing skirts, it needs to be past the knee. Professional shoes, no tennis shoes. So that's a little bit of an outlay up front, but once you have that, you're good to go. Then, of course, the staying in the hotels, and we try to make the meals for the week as inexpensive as possible. But you will, once you sign up, you'll get an email, and you can pick your lunches for the week and your dinners for the week, and pay for those separately. So everything's covered.
Yeah, I
Great.
looked at it. It's $200-300-ish. I mean, I know that's a long, big range. I didn't find it specifically, but $200-300. But there
And
are
that includes
lots.
housing. That
It does
includes
not
housing.
include. It does
okay.
not. The hotel is separate. We always get an Airbnb, and sometimes families will go in together and get an Airbnb to lower the cost. That is
Very
just the
good.
tuition for the week. There are scholarships available, and Teen Pact encourages the students to fundraise as if they were on the campaign trail. So I know every year Aiden has sent out letters to family and friends and asked for their support. So, and a lot of students love Teen Pact and so much and want to be able to go to the alumni events that they go get a job to help pay for all of the different events they want to attend.
And Team Pack is headquartered in Washington, D.C., is it not? Is it headquartered there?
No, it's
I thought I
Georgia.
saw-
Jefferson, Georgia, isn't it? Headquarters, or is that where it
I am
first started?
not
I don't
sure.
know.
It's not in DC.
It did start in Georgia. Tim Eccles was the founder, and he took the first group of students to the Capitol 30 years ago in the 90s, and which doesn't seem possible that was 30 years ago. But I want to say Virginia is what I'm thinking is where.
I'm looking it
Where
up
it's
now.
at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Alexandria, Virginia is considered basically an annex to the Beltway. And a lot of non-governmental organizations that are doing work at the Capitol in Washington, D.C. are located in the Virginia state. So I think that's where I got the idea of Washington, D.C.
Hey, Angelique, I don't want to leave you out. You are a difference maker too.
Amen.
So Aiden obviously is now a young difference maker and going to continue to be a difference maker. But you are. I want to tell people, when you want something done, ask someone that's busy. Don't ask someone that's not busy because they won't get it done. That's why they're not busy. So when I was talking to you back and forth and we missed a phone call and we were kind of playing phone tag, I listened to your message, and your message said, I'm at some place. I've got this appointment. I got this appointment. I will be here. I'll be there, but I might be able to talk to you on Thursday or Friday. And I thought, hey, I clap because I think, oh, this lady is very, very,
Very
busy.
busy.
And she kind of like me. I'm very busy too. And so I thought that's a really good, I had never really heard a message quite so detailed. So very good. You are a difference maker. You're being the change. And I do remember you in Jefferson City when we talked about a bill that we were working on together and stuff like that. I really do. I did appreciate and still appreciate people that go up to Jefferson City. But hey, there is a hint I was going to tell you guys. Everybody needs to hear this. So everybody that's watching today, if you can't go to your capital, then the legislators are usually home on Fridays and even on Saturdays. You don't want to bother them on Sundays, but that's their job. That's their job. So I always, when I came home on Thursday evening, I many times met somebody at a coffee shop or maybe the library or someplace, just a public place, and I would talk to constituents on Friday. I did town halls on Saturday and different things, but you need to stay connected, whatever state you're in. Right now, some very important things are happening in our government, and we got a very important election coming up. You got to make sure you know who your state representatives and your state senators are. They're the people that you can talk to, and also the local people, the commissioners and everything like that. Hey, thanks for being on our show today. We've learned a lot about Teen Pack. Aiden, keep it up. You're doing great. We've had now 2 young people in a row that's been on our show. That's just awesome.
And thank you, Mom, for raising the next generation of Americans.
Yeah, very good. Very good. We'll be back next Wednesday.
We're showing the whole world what a country